I'm Dustin Mason, and this is the new NX 350 and RX 350. This is the new NX 350, and compared to the all-new redesigned RX 350. Both of these vehicles share a very similar powertrain, but have very big personality differences. First, I'm going to show you the NX, and then we're going to go over the RX. Starting with the styling of the NX, this particular one is the F-Sport model, which gives us this gorgeous front aggressive spindle grille, along with the triple beam LED headlights with the Lexus signature daytime running light above the headlight. Some other features of the NX in the F-Sport model are the fact that there's actual usable vents on the sides of the bumpers that create some cooling for the brakes and the tires, and also we still have our headlight washers, which is really nice. Moving to the side, we see some big differences as well. We have blacked out rims to match the blacked out mirrors. We have color matched fenders, which is new for the new body style. But when you look at the side profile of the NX, you can tell that it doesn't really flow down, it actually opens up. So it's a little bit more of like a hatchback rather than a sloping saloon. The NX was our first vehicle in the new lineup to have the brand new Lexus emblem. Instead of having the little circle with the L in it, we now have it spelt out. Also, it was one of the first to have the new taillight setup. So we have broken up on the sides with this top piece kind of bridging the gap between the two of them, as well as some decorations to the bottom because it is the F-Sport model. Also, the NX has an exposed wiper. Now, over to the new 2023 RX. This particular one is in the Grecian watercolor, which is one of my favorite colors for the RX. I find sometimes we see too many grays and blacks and white cars on the road where the blue kind of stands out a little bit, which I love. Now, with the new front end, I was a little bit worried that it was going to look too much like the NX, but it does stand out a lot and gives it a little bit more personality. In my opinion, it's because of the top of that grille. The fact that it has that frameless design, it flows right into the bumper, I think that gives it a little bit more of a masculine or mean-looking front end versus the NX. So from further away, it's easy to tell the difference. Now, a couple other changes on the front end is we now have the signature light kind of more in the middle of that headlight lens, which is pretty nice. We still have some really nice decoration and venting with that F-Sport spindle grille, which is great. But you will notice they got rid of the headlight washer. So not too sure if that was even used before. I probably wouldn't have noticed if it was being used anyway. But being in Canada and having salt on the roads for most of the year, I figured it kind of worked, but who knows. Now, going to the side, you'll see it does have a darker rim with a blacked out side mirror, as well as black roof rails. And you'll notice as the side profile, one of the biggest differences is the RX kind of flows a little bit more. You'll notice it kind of gets a little tall, but then flows down kind of like more of that sedan saloon style vehicle, which is pretty nice, and it makes it look a lot longer than the NX. So that NX kind of looks like a little bit shorter of a hatchback, which is great. The N, don't forget, stands for nimble, so it's supposed to look more like a nimble car, where this one's supposed to look more of like a luxury sedan. Now, the back of the RX, there are some interesting features here as well. You'll notice there is no wiper exposed, which is genius, especially during the times of snow, where the wiper is actually hidden up under this little visor, which is great. And also in the higher models, that's where they put the camera for the rear view camera. So not the backup camera, but the rear view camera is actually up there. It's hidden, it's on the inside of the window, which protects it from all the elements. Also, the rear taillight is a little bit different of an iteration. It's more one piece. So you can see it kind of flow from one side to the other without many breaks in it, except for obviously where the actual hatch is. And then at the side of it, it has a little bit of like a fadeaway to it, which just adds a little bit more decoration, differentiates it a little bit as well. And I would say looking at it from the angle of the back or maybe the side and back profile, that's where the RX stands out the most. So on paper, the new RX and the NX have a lot of similarities, but they both have very different personalities. And a big part of that is on the inside. So sitting in the new NX, the layout is pretty similar to the RX, but there are some big differences. One of them is just how compact it feels, which a lot of people like. Don't forget, when the NX first came out, it was more based on the IS platform, where they wanted everything to feel sporty, feel a little bit more compact, and that's exactly what they did. It still feels like a cockpit. We have some beautiful decoration on the doors. Everything's kind of in your eyesight, and you still have the ability to just within reach, switch different drive modes and things like that. Now, they still went with a very minimalistic and with a very visually appealing layout. It's simplistic, it's not overwhelming, and it feels like everything is right there, sort of hugging you. Now, it is important to mention, this one is the S Sport Series 1, so it has a little bit smaller of a screen, but the new S Sport seats are absolutely amazing. If you ever sat in an older NX, like a 2015 or 2016, and you didn't like the S Sport seats, I'm telling you, they've come a long way, and it might be worth checking out. So when comparing the NX to the RX, the biggest difference in the inside is definitely the back seat. I'm 6'1", and I had the front seat set up for someone who's also 6'1", and I definitely fit. My legs fit, my head fits, I have room. However, if I had to sit back here with two other big guys, for instance, it would feel a little bit cramped, but it's kind of supposed to. This is the compact luxury SUV in our lineup, so it didn't need to be super spacious back here, and that kind of helped it with its compact, sporty personality, where if they made it too big, there wouldn't be a big enough difference. But for two people, for instance, there's still lots of comfort. We can put the armrest down, there's some cup holders there. We have some different charging ports towards the bottom, two USBs, and just a regular 12-volt outlet. So it would definitely be totally fine for two people, and especially even around town. So what about cargo space? Even though it is more of a compact SUV, there still is lots of room. And now with the new redesign, that hatch opens a lot quicker. But does it pass the golf club test? Let's see. Okay, maybe not exactly on a driver, but if you go on an angle, there is a cavity on each side. You could definitely fit at least two golf bags, maybe one of those pull carts, but you'd probably have to fold down one of the seats, so don't have a bunch of people with you. But if it's two people going golfing, you could at least fit all your gear and it should be no problem. So just like the NX, we're gonna see if the RX passes the golf club test. Now I should say that if it was up to me, I'd be trying to fit like a surfboard or something like that, but I figured more people could probably relate to a golf club. So does it fit? Still not, but when we angle it in, lots more space there. You could probably fit 3 or 4 golf bags if you had to, maybe not with carts, but you can just get one at the golf course. Or fold down those rear seats, which you can do by using these power cords right here. So we have left and right, you could fold down the seats from here, fold them back up on this particular package. And one of my favorite features in the trunk is the fact that it has these little hooks that you can hang your groceries on, so your Wonder Bread doesn't go flying everywhere. Okay, now sitting in the RX 350 with a black interior, there is a lot to go over here. So as I mentioned, there is a different layout. In pictures, it might seem really similar, but once you get here, you realize the spacing between everything feels a lot different. The whole interior of the RX feels more open concept. So it's less that it's like hugging you like you're in a little sedan, and more that it's giving you a lot more space to breathe, even how the dash is laid out. So we still have the screen really close to us, and this is a bigger screen, by the way, than the NX. The NX is a lower model, so it had the smaller screen. This particular RX is a little bit higher model, so it's a bit bigger. But we even see there's like an extra little bit of shelving that don't put anything on. Not that type of shelving, but more of like a visually appealing style. And we see that the Alcantara, or what Lexus calls Ultra Suede, which is featured on the doors and on the seats, is also continued on the dash, which is really great. And a first for the RX is the fact that it has ambient lighting. You can get that on the NX as well, but the reason I bring it up for the RX is the ambient lighting continues on that really gorgeous seam there. So when you're driving the car and you're looking out at this very spacious dashboard, you see the Ultra Suede being lit by some ambient lighting, which is totally customizable. So you can change it on your mood. If you're in an angry mood, you can put it red. Or if you want it to calm down a little bit, you can do blue. I don't know, whatever you want. But just wanted to point that out. Everything else is very wide open. We have some really deep storage here where you're gonna put your phone for the wireless charging. The armrest is a little bit bigger, and you can open it from both sides. That's actually in both vehicles as well. But it does feel more substantial, this whole center console, which I really like. Still just 2 cup holders. There is no switch for the drive modes because you're gonna do that through the screen on the RX. But overall, very spacious, lots of room to breathe. And again, just a different personality of an interior that you probably wouldn't be able to tell by just looking at the pictures online. Okay, now sitting in the rear of the RX 350, you can tell it's much more pointed for passengers back here. Lots more open space. Again, I have that front seat set up for me to be sitting in front, and there is a ton of room between me and the seat, which is great. But also, it's appointed really well back here. We also see a little bit of that Ultra Suede on this particular package. Everything seems high-end. We still have some Ultra Suede on the seats, but it doesn't stop there. In the center, we have some different controls. We have our own climate control back here for the first time ever in an RX, which is great. Heated seats, and in this particular package, we also have cooled seats, which you used to have to go up to like an LS or an LX to get that, like a flagship $100,000 car. And now the RX has it in some of these middle to high packages, which is great. The space between the back, it's a lot wider as well. So I could sit back here with 2 other people super comfortably, even for longer drives, because you can also recline these seats. So there's a switch to the left here. I can recline it this much, which again, isn't huge. It's kind of like an airplane seat if I were to compare it to something, but enough that if I wanted to, I could definitely take a nap. Or if there's only 2 of us back here, we have our cup holders, as well as a little bit of storage in this little center console box, which is great too. And this one has the panel roof, but you can do that on the NX too if you wanted to. So to recap, if you're trying to figure out which car is better for you, the NX or the new RX, think of it this way. If you want a small SUV to be able to zip around the city with your friends, fit maybe 1 set of golf clubs or 2 set of golf clubs, I would do the NX. However, if you wanted to take more of a long road trip with friends, go surfing, go snowboarding, have people in your backseat, have that nice smooth ride, I would go with the new RX. And click here to see our latest video.